What's up? It's Mike, and that's right, I'm in hell! I'm not really sure how I got here, though. Nintendo was a bitch with the GBA. Okay, maybe it was that.
But Mike, you might be asking, how can you say Nintendo was a bitch on the GBA with brave releases like Mario Pinball Land?
Okay, that one doesn't count.
While Nintendo, specifically with Mario and the GBA, did do a total of one cool thing with Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, the rest of their offerings were lacking.
Now that's my nice way of saying lazy.
When the GBA was being initially unveiled to the public, a lot of people latched onto the idea of the Game Boy Advance essentially being a handheld SNES, because calling it a better Game Boy would be way harder than calling it a better NES but portable. It helped that the GBA saw a metric ton of ports for SNES games, including classics like Link to the Past, Final Fantasy VI, the entire Donkey Kong Country series, and even the likes of Mr. Nuts.
Who could forget about Mr. Nuts?
But there's a series of remasters on the GBA that people have probably heard about more than any of the other ports listed so far, and that's the Super Mario Advance series.
The series is kinda weird. There's a game that you could consider a port, a game you could consider a remaster, and a game that you can consider bad.
The Super Mario Advance series consists of 0 original games, and it wouldn't be until the DS where a new semi-original 2D Mario platformer would be released.
I guess you could call it new.
Honestly, an original mainline 2D Mario platformer not releasing on the Game Boy Advance is both surprising and completely unsurprising.
Being a Nintendo fan is its own kind of hell.
On one hand, the Game Boy Advance had absolutely no competition at the time of its release. Yes, you heard me, the N-Gage doesn't count.
The N-Gage fan out there is really pissed.
So at least in my eyes, a brand new 2D Mario would have been the slam dunk to secure the Game Boy Advance's success. But on the other hand, Nintendo likely saw that they held a monopoly on the handheld game market, so why bother investing the likely huge amount of time and money it would take to make a completely new Mario game when people are going to buy the GBA anyways because it was the only way to take Mr. Nuts on the go?
I mean, with a deal like that.
So instead of making said original game, they just pulled from their catalog of old Mario games, made a few changes, and spat them out on store shelves from the years 2001 to 2003, with 2002 being the lucky year that saw both Super Mario Advance 2 and 3 debut in North America. But the question is, with all of these games debuting so close together, why not just release them all in one cartridge?
I mean, come on, who would seriously buy all these games individually?
Literally 3/4 of the games in the Super Mario Advance series starred in the compilation Super Mario All-Stars on the SNES a couple of years prior. So why not just release a Super Mario All-Stars Advanced?
Because they had to make absolutely sure that everyone had at minimum 4 ways to play the remastered Mario Bros. Arcade game. Actually 5.
The series also feels like there wasn't a ton of planning behind it. I mean, the order they released the games in is just strange. First, you get Super Mario Bros. 2, sure, makes sense.
To a murderer.
Then Super Mario World and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
Okay, the murderer really wouldn't get that one.
And then Super Mario Bros. 3. The even weirder part is that while I consider Super Mario Advance 4 Super Mario Bros. 3 the highest quality conversion in the series, it's still based on an NES game, and Super Mario World makes for the much better base game. So why release Super Mario Bros. 3 last? Where's the first Super Mario Bros? Or hell, where's remasters of the Super Mario Land series?
And now the murderer is just completely lost.
Turns out there's a reason Super Mario Bros. 2 was first in line, because it actually wasn't first in line.
Pretty easy to follow, honestly.
See, before the Game Boy Advance, there was the Game Boy Color. And on that Game Boy Color, there was a game called Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. This was a port of Super Mario Bros. To the Game Boy Color and featured a wide array of extra modes and goodies. But none of that really means anything when the camera seems more interested in Mario's ass than the actual game.
But aren't we all?
With that said, the fact that the first Super Mario Advance was Super Mario Bros. 2 makes a bit more sense knowing that it was developed as a successor to Super Mario Bros. Deluxe.
Doesn't make it any less stupid.
Before we get into the individual games themselves, let's talk about that Super Mario Bros. Arcade remaster that's featured on all of them. Trust me, it was necessary.
That's not enough.
Coming clean, I had never actually played the original Mario Bros. Arcade machine before playing this version, and having still not done that, I can confidently say that I actually enjoyed my time with the game. Honestly, knowing Nintendo, I'm surprised they didn't just go the extra mile and release this as a completely separate cartridge.
Look, I bought Star Fox Zero. I'd buy that too.
The Mario Bros. Mario Bros. Classic game that's included is quite competent, with all the trappings of classic arcade games. Catchy music, fast-paced gameplay, and not bullshit difficulty. It controls like you expect it to. The backgrounds for some of the phases and bonus rooms genuinely look really great, especially the snowy one. If anything, this shows that old arcade games can work especially well with this form factor and hardware.
So what the f happened to you?
Not much more to really say on it. It's a completely harmless addition that can add a couple of fun minutes to your overall playtime.
I can't avoid it anymore, can I?
I don't like Super Mario Advance.
Yeah, that'll probably add to my sentence.
For all these games, I'll mention the base game for a bit and then talk about whatever cool additions that this version of the game has opposed to the original. So for the base game of Mario 2, it's just kind of okay. It's the weakest game in the base series by a long shot, and while none of it's terrible, everything just feels off.
So the reason why Mario Bros. 2 may be weird is because it's actually not a Mario game. Did you know that Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually a game in Japan called the...
Some people call it Game of the Year, every year in fact, but I just see it as fine. It introduced some series staples with enemies like the ninjas, and even some characterization like Luigi having worse traction but a floatier jump. I think the worst part of this game though is the transition between screens. They feel so much more pace-breaking than the ones seen on the likes of Mega Man and your average Zelda. On a good note though, I think the different characters are the most interesting part of this game and does add to the replayability factor of it somewhat.
You might be wondering why I don't just use this car to drive out of hell. It runs on giving a piss about Mario 2 gas. They're taunting me.
When it comes to unique additions, there isn't too much. There's a brand new opening cutscene that helps to highlight both the screen and graphical improvements from the original Game Boy with this little border, which is kinda neat. A ton of small things were changed to look more 3D, like the character select screen. I'm sure this impressed someone.
Oh my god, it moves!
They also added some lovely bit crunched voice clips for all the characters, including Toad.
Yeah, I didn't need sleep anyways.
After that completely life-altering change, they also added some colorful-looking text. And that's about it. There's more, but truthfully, I never played enough of the original to begin with, and because I'm sorry, I just don't care.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Mario 2 going in, and if you also aren't the biggest fan, then Super Mario Advance isn't gonna change your mind. But for a GBA launch title, it was an okay-ish enough package.
Next up is Super Mario Advance 2 Super Mario World, and for the sake of full transparency, this was the one I owned and played the most as a kid.
So it's the good one.
This is my favorite base game in the entire series, with all the fantastic level designs, the amazing world map, the great environments, the colorful-ish graphics, and that's just scratching the surface. It introduced Yoshi, added the spin jump, and largely set the standard for future 2D Mario games. And by set the standard, I mean they just repeated it 4 times over. That doesn't make this conversion perfect though. As alluded to 51 words ago, this game is visibly different color-wise compared to the SNES original. There's a good reason for this though.
Never said it was a great one.
See, when the original Game Boy Advance came out, everyone praised the screen's complete lack of any sort of lighting whatsoever.
Okay, I'm sorry, I lied.
Developers had to compensate for this, so now every Game Boy Advance game just looks kind of funky on actually backlit screens without the use of a filter on an emulator or the like. It's largely the reason why the colors in Super Mario Advance 2 look off. Now on the original GBA screen, I'm sure it looks great. Keywords being I'm sure.
Can't really tell.
But the colors aren't as big of an issue as the screen crunch. I mean, my god, just look at the title screen compared to the original. It's abysmal. It's definitely still playable, but it makes it by de facto not the definitive way to play this game, which kinda sucks. When it comes to changes from the original, there's a couple other than the weird colors, with the amazing addition being how they deal with Mario and Luigi. While Luigi was essentially just a palette swap in the original, here Luigi has his distinctions present from Super Mario Advance, and there's an added layer of strategy here that's super fun to play around with. Having issues with a level playing Mario and need a higher jump? Just switch to Luigi on the world map and you're set. Need more traction for tighter jumps? Then switch back to Mario. It's seamless and it's a really cool addition to this version of the game. Luigi even has some characteristics that from what I can tell are unique to just this game. Like if he hits a coin block with multiple coins in it, they'll all just fly out after one hit.
And now we all have a better chance of winning at Jeopardy!
Taking another page from Super Mario Advance's playbook, Super Mario Advance 2 has a new opening cutscene, which is another harmless addition.
So all in all, compared to the original, it isn't the best way to play this game, but what this game will always have over the original is more detailed Mario ass. Finally giving the people what they want.
Third up to the plate is Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2, Super Mario Advance 3.
Just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
I also have a fun story with this game as a very young kid, with this game actually being the first ever GBA game that I played. Did that mean it was worth spending $85 on a complete in-box copy?
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Playing this game so many years later, and wow, it does hold up nicely. The colors aren't as nice as they were on the NES, but Yoshi's Island is still one of the graphically coolest looking games on the entire GBA system. The art style will never cease to look good to me, and the addition of all the 3D just adds to the lovely presentation. The gameplay is also the most unique out of the whole series. The egg throwing mechanics with the original Game Boy Advance shoulder buttons feel sublime. The controls are tight and responsive, the levels are way more open and varied, and the base game is extremely solid here. When it comes to changes, this game probably got the least out of the entire series, with graphical tweaks mainly, and the star of the show being the 6 brand new secret stages with 1 for each world. And that's literally it.
Yoshi's Island Super Mario Advance 3 will always hold a special place in my heart. Right next to Disney Princess Enchanted Journey.
Last up to bat, and easily the most interesting game in the series, we have Super Mario Bros. 3 Super Mario Advance 4.
Now that's more like something I'd name my kid.
Many long internet comment wars have been fought on whether Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World is the better game, which is stupid because both games are extremely quality games in their own right.
The answer is Super Mario World.
This was actually my first time playing through the game fully, and I have some thoughts. For one, even on a modern backlit display, this game is absolutely gorgeous. The game's colors being so much nicer than the prior games comes down to it being released after the revered Game Boy Advance SP, which finally discovered light, so the oversaturated graphics weren't as necessary anymore to developers.
The caveman finding fire is less impressive than this.
The airship setting is particularly impressive, with everything else in the presentation also being great. They have the second best controls in the series behind Advance 2, but unlike Advance 2, they managed to up Luigi. As mentioned earlier, changing between Mario and Luigi was as easy as pressing a shoulder button on the world map of that game, but here you have to select either the Mario mode or the Mario and Luigi mode before playing. The Mario and Luigi mode literally just means that every time you die, you switch between the two, which takes out all the strategy that Super Mario Advance 2 had. It's just really cumbersome and annoying seeing how easily they nailed this idea in a prior game. Another thing that's a little jarring is that these levels are really short, which does make sense seeing as it's again based on an NES game, but the whiplash, especially after playing both Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island, is real. Something I haven't mentioned for all the prior games, because I didn't really think it was necessary, was that they all also have remixed music, and they've all been fine so far. Except for Super Mario World, it was actually pretty bad over there. But for all the games to mention that with, I chose this one, because quite frankly, this is the only one where I actually prefer some of the remixed music to the original. It's some good stuff. Now, when it comes to changes, that's where this game truly comes alive. It really feels like Nintendo went all out for this one. For one, there are little sparkles now every time you collect a coin.
Oh, that's what's been missing.
The actual big addition here is the introduction of the e-reader card levels. When it comes to the e-reader itself, well, you know where to find ass in the dictionary. You needed 2 whole GBA systems just to make this thing work. And not only that, you needed some crappy cards.
And I really don't have another spot for my Lego Ninjago cards.
Thankfully, Nintendo actually did something smart in their storefront for once, and released Super Mario Advance 4 on the Wii U eShop with all of the e-reader levels included, which is amazing because these levels are insane. All I really need to do is show you this footage that features a charging Chuck while I pluck turnips from the ground inside of Super Mario Bros. 3. It feels like the sky was the limit when it comes to these stages, and I mean that literally because we even get the cape power up with the Super Mario Bros. 3 sprites. I honestly don't know if it's cursed or so cursed that it isn't, but all of these really cool e-reader stages go to show that Nintendo really could have made a fantastic original 2D platformer on the GBA. Hell, a game full of levels with all 4 of these games' mechanics mashed together in fun ways would be so cool in a Super Mario Advance 5. But they made New Super Mario Bros. Instead.
Okay, honestly, I can't even make up an excuse for Nintendo anymore.
All in all, the Super Mario Advance series is a weird group of games. They had some cool additions, some weird quirks, and overall just confused the hell out of me. They aren't really the definitive way to play any of these games due to the screen crunch and the lower quality music, but they also had some great quality of life changes like saving and sleep mode before it was built into the console. But then again, even sleep mode was only in 3 of the 4 games. Why? I wouldn't really go out of my way to buy any of these games if I weren't me, due to the fact that there are better versions of these games out there available anywhere and conveniently, especially with stuff like NES and SNES Online on the Switch.
But I'm me, and at the end of the day, all of these games still would make a pretty neat addition to any Game Boy Advance collector's library, even if they are a bit odd. That's all it took?